Aaron, can you tell me a little bit more? What are some of these common challenges that you're seeing tied to BIM data and, just what are people struggling with? Where are the gaps?
Yeah, so earlier this year, with a bunch of other architectural practices, both across the UK and the Nordic regions and in North America, we looked at refining a future design software specification and some of the topics within that were all challenges for all of us, both as architects, engineers, constructors. Predominantly, one of the key points about that was cloud-based granular access to data at an entity or component system level, not being necessarily tied within an application or within a file format. We also very much all talked about hybrid compute. We now have modern hybrid workers all over the world. And so those people being tied to desktop computers is continues to be tricky. We're all dealing with larger contexts of data, larger scales of data, greater definition, levels of detail. Our data footprint when working on existing buildings is even greater as we look at things like laser scans and point clouds and so on. So being able to interact with that amount of data at a context and scale is really, really important for us and something we think there's an opportunity for in the future. And I think it's important also to think about designing and constructing responsibly. So making sure that we are evaluating existing building constructions. A lot of the work that we do as an architectural practice is in central London, and we spend a lot of time evaluating what we can retain from the existing building fabric in order for us to design responsibly. And it's important, again, that we recognize that as a challenge. All of our tools need to be able to engage with that in the right way. Understanding the constraints of modern methods of construction, prefabrication, and offsite whilst designing is really important. I appreciate it's a really complex area, and I know there's some challenges to modern methods of construction, prefabrication, and offsite. And I don't think we help that by designing things without the awareness of what some of those constraints are and the inefficiency of construction when we have to kind of keep going back around to evaluate those choices. Probably finally, just about automation and intelligence, and really understanding how we can learn more efficiently and effectively from a project-to-project basis, automate mundane and repetitive tasks. And as you're probably hearing across AU this week, does that mean less jobs? And I think actually the problem is that we see people are studying for 7 years to become qualified architects. They're going into firms, and then they're realizing that it's quite mundane, repetitive tasks that they're dealing with. And I think the way that we can have enough people in the industry going forward is by automating those mundane, repetitive tasks. So the people we've got left can focus on the architecture, the design, delivering great buildings responsibly, and to all those other points.
You're really speaking my language here, and I'm so excited as we continue to augment the way our teams are working. And to your point, all those boring things that make somebody go, I don't know if I want to work in architecture or construction because I'm going to sit here and do material takeoffs for 16 hours or something. That's painful. Nobody wants to do that. So if we can use technology to augment and change that and let people focus on the things that they're excited about and that they're fun about, it's a totally different narrative. Amy, I'd love your take on that as well.
For sure. So much of what you said resonates with me. And I think there's a thread of data that goes through everything that you just talked about, everything from the increased complexity that we see, 10 years ago, what was in the Revit model is not what there's so much more that goes in there today. But we also know that something like 85% of data that's accumulated during the process goes unused. And so there's a huge amount of value there that can help with some of these outcomes like sustainability and automation and things that will improve the situation for everyone.
Yeah, I think we're starting to have this narrative where our contractors and everybody who's touching the AC industry, they're starting to ask the right questions. The progressive mindset is very encouraging and exciting because if I look back, 2020, and there was some struggle and challenging years mixed in there, of course, but if you look at that era and just the questions that were being asked then versus now, as we got kind of nudged through this digital transformation, I think at a pace that many of our AEC friends weren't ready for, or at least not terribly excited about at times. Now we're, the silver lining is there and we're far more mature in our digital journey. And I think it's giving us opportunity that we didn't have before. And that's what I'm really excited about.